In today's video, I'm going to address something that can be a pitfall of freelancing, which is loneliness, coming up. Hello and welcome back to the Freelanceverse. As you know, freelancing has so many positives. You have freedom, you don't really have a boss that tells you what to do, you have control over what you do over yourself. But of course, it also has its negatives. Mostly they can be that it's not really stable, there can be fluctuations in your income, and one big thing can be loneliness. If you choose freelancing as a career, it's very likely that you won't have a team around you, a team of colleagues, right? Or at least not a real one. More on that later, not a physical one. And most likely you don't really have often interaction with your customers. Of course, there are certain jobs as freelancers where you're constantly on the phone, constantly talking to your customers, or even meeting them in person. That can be the case, of course, but for most freelancing jobs, same as for me, if you don't make an effort, you don't meet anyone, really. You could just work from home, and that can be quite tricky. You have to be careful with that. So before you make the career choice of becoming a freelancer, you definitely need to think about whether you are a person that enjoys time alone. Because how I see it, there are really two types of people. Some people enjoy being alone, they don't see it as loneliness, and some people can't deal with being alone. So after the first motivation boost, after you started your career and in the first month, you're not going to have any problems. That's also what I told people when they would ask me, so you just work from home, you don't see anyone? And I said, yeah, for me it's no problem, it goes really well, I don't have any problems with that. But after this first motivation boost, this is a topic that will eventually come up, and it can sneak up on you if you're not careful about it. So having said that, I enjoy having time alone. I still do make efforts to meet people, to work with people, and I want to share a couple of these techniques with you today so that you don't fall into the same trap that many people do. Even though employees are usually not best friends with their co-workers, right? It can happen, of course, but it's not the norm. But still, it gives you a lot of social interactions. If you think about it, you're probably at work between 7 and 10 hours a day or something, and you're constantly in social interaction, right? So I even know of people that say that they don't really have energy anymore in the evening to meet with their friends because they feel like all their social energy is used up at work. Right? And that's not going to happen when you are a freelancer, I can guarantee you that. So in the evenings you tend to be a bit more social and a bit more active than employees, and sometimes I ask people, do you want to come out? And they say, no, I'm tired, I had enough of today. So you have to kind of also understand their side, right? One important aspect is that you don't just internalize yourself and you stay home and you isolate. That's not going to go well, I feel like. Especially as a freelance translator, I can just work as much as I want, right? I can work 14 hours a day and just be at home, and I would make more money, much more, but then you lose a lot of quality of life. And once you had a huge project with a tight deadline, you start on Monday, maybe the next Monday again you have a deadline and you deliver it and you feel accomplished, but then you realize, hey, I haven't seen anyone this week. That's not really healthy, right? Just keep that in mind. Now, of course, I do live together with my partner here at home, so it's much easier for me to have someone here. I understand that when you live alone, freelancing is again even more lonely, right? So also think about that. Can you deal with living alone while also working alone? That's two very different things, right? Having someone coming home every night helps you a lot with not feeling lonely. And last but not least, before I come to my tips, think about, put yourself in a situation where you would be alone for an extended period of time, and think about whether you are the person that can see it as solitude, that can enjoy being alone, that's never really bored because there's always something new to do, or whether you are someone that feels lonely quite quickly. If for example, if virtual communication is not enough for you, for let's say spend 2 weeks alone, maybe you're not the person to do freelancing, at least not for working from home. There are always options. I'm talking about that in a second. So just before you start, weigh it out. Do I enjoy my own company? Am I bored very quickly, or do I always think about the next thing to do? And these are tells whether you are cut out for freelancing or not. So all in all, even if you're a proud introvert, you still need social interactions. That's just how humans are made. So here are my tips to avoid freelancer loneliness. Number one is be honest, right? There's no shame in saying, oh, I feel a bit lonely, I want to change something. That's really important. Don't be too proud to say that. Even if you said it a year ago that you don't mind working alone, if you feel it now, it's okay. Like, be honest about it. So when I moved to Brussels about 2 years ago, I noticed an opportunity kind of, because I've never lived in a big city like this. And I thought there must be so many freelancers here, especially in a city like Brussels, where a lot of people move to because their partner found a job here, right? So there are a lot of people here who moved here for their partners, and then they started freelancing because it's very location independent, it's easy to do. A lot of people here speak English, so I thought there must be many freelancers here. So I looked on Facebook and on pages like meetup.com whether there are people who do co-working, working together, right? And even though I found a few pages, there wasn't really something that I had in mind. Mostly these co-working sessions were either very strictly planned, like you meet, you have a talk together, you do this activity, and you have lunch. Or it's paid, you know, you have to pay for it to get there. It takes place in an actual co-working space where you have to pay for it. And even though these are also good, they can help you a lot with not feeling lonely. This wasn't what I had in mind. What I had in mind was just a community that meets once a week in a cafe probably, or at someone's home, and works together for the day. If you want to social interact, you can. If you're busy, you're just working for yourself. And I didn't find this kind of meetup, so I started it. It's called Freelancer Coworking. You find it on meetup.com. And so if you're ever in Brussels, just sign up and come by and say hello. We usually meet every Thursday or Friday, depends. I change it up a bit, in one of the cafes in the city. There's so many options here to work from. Of course, now recently we couldn't do it because of the pandemic, but before we met there, and we usually were between 2 to 7 people or so working together, and I made some excellent connections. Some you will probably see even on this channel when I do some collaborations. It's a great way to meet people and to feel like you have colleagues. My second point is heavily linked to the first point. It's cafes, right? There are so many cafes where you can work from. Even though you don't speak with someone in the cafe, it still feels much more social to work from there. Just having people around you that are also working, you know, you're talking to the waitress, to the waiter, whatever. Just feels different. Usually you feel more productive because you know you got out of your house. I mean, especially if you have productivity issues at home, it's the best thing to just go out. I don't know how it is at where you live, but here in Brussels it's very common to work from cafes. So maybe just make sure when you go somewhere that it's not extremely crowded, especially at lunch, because imagine if you are the owner of the cafe and at lunch people would like to come in, but everything is taken by people working. That might feel a bit bad for the owner. So just make sure it's not too crowded. Maybe even ask the owner if it's okay if you can work here. And then it's a great way to get out of your house. Tip number 3 is setting up virtual teams. This is a huge point actually for me. I wasn't aware that this is possible, but it's so easily possible. Now there are 2 ways of doing that. Either it's based around the client. Like for me, for example, I work in 2 virtual teams for 2 specific clients. One is huge, one we are like, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 people, so it's less personal. We just know of each other and we write emails, we work for the same client. So like once a month we have to have a call and align up a few things that we all do the same thing, right? And for the other client, we are only 6 people, so that really feels like a team, right? We work together, even though online, but we work together every day. And I know these people, they are my colleagues, you know. Every week we have a Hangouts call. And this is a great way to actually feel like a community, feel like a team. If you don't have these clients that set this up, you can also set it up yourself, right? Find like-minded people that feel alone, feel lonely. You set up maybe a Skype chat or a Slack chat or whatever, or Zoom, Microsoft Teams, there's so many things out there now. And you can just chat with each other. You can maybe exchange jobs, you can just chat with each other, ask tips, make jokes, send memes, whatever, everything helps, right? The next tip is when you move somewhere new and you start freelancing, especially in Europe, it's a common thing that the Chamber of Commerce usually offers either events, online events, brochures where you can meet people, directories from new freelancers, new companies that are founded. So if you live somewhere in Europe, I'm not sure about the rest of the world if it works the same, but here it's very common. You can just go to the Chamber of Commerce. You can either ask them about a directory of new freelancers, or if there is an event coming up, a welcoming event. Usually they do events about taxes, you know. Of course it depends, like here in Brussels, these events, or where I live in the commune of Brussels, these events would all be in French, so it was a bit intimidating for me first to go there. But still, if you can manage it, and if you are native in the language, or you're just okay to speak it with other people, do that. It's a great way to meet locals as well, so you don't like just stay in a bubble wherever you live. Next up are Facebook groups. So important, especially in translation. It's a must that you frequent in Facebook groups, because there's so much information in there. It's actually incredible. And I know that Facebook is kind of, it's still by far the biggest social network, but it's considered not really cool anymore. I get that. But what it actually is very useful is for professional use. Even though I tell people I use my Facebook mostly for professional use, they would laugh because you use it for procrastination, right? But it's actually not true. There are great Facebook groups. If you want a video on translation groups, let me know. There are very valuable and useful groups in there. And the cool thing is that there are local ones and worldwide global ones, right? So if you want to get your message out there, I will probably also post these videos in Facebook groups and get traction through that, you know. If you want to get your message out there, go in these groups of like-minded people. Like, where else can you find thousands of people that have the same interest as you in the same place, right? It's an incredible tool, very useful. And if you're active in this group, you find people that are also active, you get to know each other, and it builds a community, and you don't feel lonely. One of my last points is something I haven't done yet, but I heard that it's very useful, and it's getting a pet, right? Getting a little dog, a cat, whatever you want. It can be very, very effective, and I will definitely do that very soon. Here where I live now, I can't have a pet, but where I move next, I definitely want to move somewhere where I can have a dog. If you are the person for it, it helps extremely much with loneliness for sure, because you're always busy. There's always something you have to tend to. You have to go on walks so you don't get lazy. That's another benefit. Very useful tip, get a pet if you can. And last but not least, quite obvious of course, go out in the evenings, do sports in the evenings, meet up with other people, do as much as you can after work and get out there. It seems obvious, but if you don't do it for a long time, you start to build up social anxiety because you haven't been out, right? It can happen. I'm not saying it has to happen, but it's possible. So just, experience new things. If you live in a new city, go alone also. Go out alone and meet someone in a bar, in a museum. So many things to do, and right, you still have the energy in the evening to go out, because you're not the one coming from the city home and feels like, oh, I need to shower, I need to go on the sofa. You're not the one, you're the opposite, right? You were home at all, maybe you were on the sofa all day. Now it's your time to go out. So enjoy your evenings. Maybe you can even start work early in the morning. I do that, for example. I start quite early so I can finish around 4 sometimes in the summer, and then you have so much daylight still, and it's amazing. I know that loneliness can really have a very physical toll on you as well. So if you struggle with that physically and you have maybe isolation depression or something similar, there are a few links in the description that can help you if you're in a bad place. So make sure to click on that. There you go. These are my tips to avoid freelancer loneliness. If you're just starting out, or if you're already established, just reflect on these a bit. See if one of them is maybe new to you and you can try it out. Why not? If you have more techniques, let me know in the comments. I'm very curious about how you deal with it. If maybe you are really the person that says, I don't need anyone in my life, that would be a first, but let me know if you are that person. And the point I always make in these videos, if you want to become a translator, you need to practice for it. So do that by translating this video, right? I will do the German one as usual. If you want to do Swedish, Portuguese, Albanian, wherever you're watching from, just click the wheel in the bottom right corner, click add subtitles. You can translate it as well as you can. It will come to me, I will review it, and it will go live. And so people from your country can also enjoy these videos. If you do that, let me know in the comments. I would really appreciate it if you did. Otherwise, thanks for watching. See you next time. Consider to subscribe. Bye bye.